So we're looking at section 3.2, the word problem involved with linear. So this first word problem, Alejandro gets $75 for being on call plus $15 per hour. That per word is a super big deal. And I will underline it this way so you can still see the 15. Per is one of those hints that you are talking about your slope. Okay, so your 15 is going to be your m value. Okay, because that's what's changing each hour, every hour. It's what it's going up by and changing. Where 75 is the number that's just happening once. So he's on call, boom, he gets $75, no problem. So that is your y-intercept. That's what y-intercepts are. They're that one-shot deal, that your starting value, that initial value. Okay? So our equation would look like y equals 15x plus 75. Okay? How much money will Alejandro make if he works 40 hours? One of the things that I really like to do to try and help myself in situations such as...
Sorry, so annoying when they make announcements.
Y equals 15x plus 75. Okay? How much money will Alejandro make if he works 40 hours? One of the things that I really like to do to try and help myself in situations such as this is to figure out what x stands for and what y stands for. So in this problem, x stands for the number of hours that he worked, since it's per hour, and y stands for how much money he is making. So that way, when you see that he worked 40 hours, you know that that is an x value that you're going to plug in. So you're going to have y equals 15 times that 40, and then plus 75, which you can throw directly into a lovely calculator. And that should give you 675. This is money, so make sure that you give it the units that it needs. Okay, and if it wasn't a nice whole number, make sure that you round to the appropriate decimal, which for money would be to the hundredths place, 2 after the decimal. Okay? In this second one, how many hours does he work? So that's a hint right there that you're looking for x. If he made $235, well, since they're giving me money, that is going to be my y value, and I will be looking for my x value. Alright, and then very simply, you can just subtract 75 from both sides, which will give you 156. And then you can divide both sides by 15, and you will get that he worked 10.4, and since it's an x that I'm looking for, it is hours. Alright, let's try number 2. A total cost of producing a certain item consists of paying rent for a building and paying a fixed amount per unit for the material. If the total cost is $60, if 8 units are produced, and $110 if 14 units are produced, find the equation of the line. So there was no per value for us, so we don't know our slope, and there was no initial value at all. Let's try spelling that word correctly. Alright, so we do not know our y-intercept. So what this is, you're comparing two things. They give you 60 to 8, they give you 110 to 14. Those are coordinates. Those are x and y values. So if you look at this, you have to think about what depends on the other. So how many units I make. If I make 8 units, that's going to affect how much money it costs. So because 8 is the thing that makes that decision of how much cost it is your x value, and 60 is your y value. So you have two nice little coordinates here, okay? We've got 8 that goes with $60, and we've got 14 that goes with $110. So if you have two coordinates, you can absolutely figure out the equation of the line. So it gave you enough information to figure it out. So let's do it. So don't forget our little trick. First thing you gotta do is you gotta find slope, right? So you can absolutely label these points. Remember, it's always your x value and your y value. And then since this is the first point, it gets 1, and the second point, it gets 2s. And your little formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But our easy way to remember it is to start backwards and just fill in the values. So 110 goes with 14, and then you always have to minus minus, and 60 goes with 8. So that way your coordinates are always lined up above each other, and they go together. That way you don't goof up your signs at all. So when you solve this, 110 minus 60 is 50. 14 minus 8 should give you a 6, and you can reduce that down to 25 over 3, which is 8.3 repeating. Okay? So that is our slope. That is our m value for this equation. So if we hop back here, for our equation of a line, we're going to have y equals our slope of 25 over 3 times x. And then we still have to figure out what our plus b is. Alright? So you're not done yet. You still have to figure out that part of your equation. So, to do that, we're going to take what we know about this formula. Let's hop over here to little y equals mx plus b. Let's even make that x a little bit more readable. Well, we know that our m value is 25 over 3. And we definitely know an x or a y value. So if we hop back here, we've got an x value and we've got a y value. We actually have two pairs of them, so you can pick either one. I always like to pick the smaller numbers because it just seems to be a little easier. So I'm going to use 80, 60. So 80 is, or 860, I apologize. So 8 is my x value, and 60 is my y value. And that way I could solve for b. Okay? So, I'm just going to do this all in the same color now. 60 equals 25 times 8. This is 8 over 1. That's going to be 200 over 3 plus my b value. If it helps, 200 over 3 is about 66.6 repeating. And then we're going to subtract this from both sides. Okay? And that will give us negative 20 over 3 as our b value. And if it helps, this guy is about negative 6.6 repeating. Okay, so this is our magical b value that we need, negative 20 over 3. So we can plop that in right here, and we have our equation. Okay, so same deal. These, when we want to find something like letter b, how much will it cost to produce 90 units, we've got to know whether this 90 units is an X value or a Y value. And since our X values are all of our units, we are definitely going to know that this is an X value. So you're just going to plot that in for X. So we've got Y equals 25 over 3 instead of X, we're plugging in 90. And our 20 over 3 for our B value. So, you can throw this in the calculator if you want to. What is nice, if you make this over 1, you can cross cancel here. 3 goes into 90 30 times. And then it just becomes 25 times 30 minus 20 over 3. Kind of makes it a little bit easier. You can absolutely just use your calculator though. And you should get a crazy decimal here. Or if you want to see it as a fraction, it is absolutely nutso. But the fraction doesn't actually mean anything to us in the problem because we are looking for, if we go back, we're looking for the cost. So saying that the cost is $2,230 over $3 doesn't mean anything to us. So we want the decimal version of this. We want the $743.33. Okay? You can make this 0.4, even though I know normal rounding is to drop it. But since it's cost, usually if it costs a fraction of a cent, you do have to round it up. You can kind of justify it either way. I would probably round it up, but either way works. Okay? Alright, so then we got to figure out how much is paid in rent. Well, if we go back to the problem, the total cost of producing a certain item consists of paying rent for the building and paying a fixed amount per unit. Well, the fixed amount per unit is this guy, which means the rent has to be the 20 over 3. And again, we're looking for a number, so we just want it as a decimal, which is 6.67 approximately. Okay? So that's your y-intercept. And what is the cost of material for each unit, for each and per? Those are our hints that we're talking about our slope. Excuse me. So we want the 25 over 3 value, which is your 8.33. So I hope these help. I will look at problems number 3 and 4 as well. I just don't want to make this little snippet too long. If you have any questions, please write them below.